Good evening, I'm Caroline Mueller. The Appalachia Rising Above Telethon just wrapped up in Prestonsburg, bringing in donations to help folks in the region who are still dripping from the February flood. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has a look at what the event brought to the stage.
And take care of you people, and you won't need a steeple to give the world your life.
There's something in the water here in Kentucky.
Musicians in the mountains are using that something in the water to fight what the February floodwaters left behind.
It's almost like it hadn't had time to sink in from 2022, really. We're just getting back to some sense of normalcy. And then here we are again going through the same situation over again. And it really hurt to see families who'd been through that and just getting back on their feet to go through it again.
With a host of talents performing during the Appalachia Rising Above Flood Relief Telethon.
It's great to have you all here tonight. Steve, great to be with you. And of course, it's an honor to have everyone here. We wish we didn't have to be here tonight doing so.
I'll get right in there and help them clean their house out, or I can come sing a few songs if that helps too. And so that's why I think something like this is so beneficial.
The event, hosted by WYMT and the Foundation for Appalachian Kentucky, shared the stories of survivors and celebrated the help of the heroes.
These are heroes. They're the true heroes. They're the dams are breaking and the hollers shaking, muddy waters up over arms. Waves come.
I think one thing about Kentucky, and especially Eastern Kentucky, is that we are always willing to lend a hand in any way that we can.
With musicians and other surprise guests with ties to the region raising their voices to raise money for flood relief efforts in Eastern Kentucky.
Well, that was pretty awesome to see that. So it's great to see people willing to voice and help and try to get help for our area.
We will sing one song for Kentucky.
Saying it is all about joining hands to celebrate Appalachia Rising Above. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
You can see the full telethon over on our website, WYMT.com. The event raised $155,000 for area flood relief efforts. The rebuilding continues with FEMA and other relief groups, along with volunteers, working to help the mountain people bounce back from all of the flood damage. Hazard Downtown Coordinator Bailey Richards says at least 84 businesses and up to 350 homes were affected, but that number could grow to up to 500 total impacted buildings. Her main goal is getting folks back on track and helping them to rebuild.
I hear a lot from people saying, well, I got some water in my basement, but there's other people that had it worse. Take care of them first. You were still flooded. All of these resources are for everyone that was flooded, you included. So take advantage of those things. Don't keep thinking, well, someone else had it worse. It's for all of you.
Richard says she and the Mountain Association will be at Hazard Coffee Company from 9 until noon on Friday for an informal information session to discuss disaster recovery loan programs for businesses.
We had a picture-perfect day throughout Eastern Kentucky. We had plenty of sunshine. Temperatures were in the 70s. Here's a look at how we fared today. Ashland made it to 77, 75 in Moorhead, 74 in Irvin. Jackson made it to 75, 73 in Hazard, 75 in Monticello. Look at Louisville, very close to 80. Made it to 79, and right now we're seeing temperatures still in the 40s, 50s, even 60s. We're at 61 in Hazard, Pikeville's at 63, Whitesburg, good evening to you. You're at 45, 45 in Jonesville, 55, the Double Nickels in Harlan. There's live pinpoint Doppler radar showing some false returns at this hour. All is quiet across the area as we head into the next several hours and help you plan your Wednesday. We'll see plenty of sunshine to start. Clouds will start to pick up a little bit by the afternoon and evening hours. You can see that 6 o'clock temperature, 74 degrees with plenty of sunshine, but rain and thunderstorm chances are in the forecast, and we'll plot that out coming up in the first alert forecast in a few minutes. Caroline.
Well, those are finally some temperatures I like to see. Thank you, Eric. The Junior Firefighter Program is an opportunity for students who want to be or are considering being a firefighter. Students at Floyd Central High School are taking advantage of the program. Junior fighters receive training and real-life experiences with local fire departments, getting them one step closer to a career in the fire service.
Working around, people who with lots of experience, who's been doing it forever, you can learn a lot of good life skills with it too.
Students learn fire safety along with other lessons such as changing the oil of a truck, learning equipment, and most importantly, life skills they can take with them. As changes are happening in Washington, people in Kentucky are speaking up and making their concerns known. WKYT's Grayson Passmore tells us some of those concerns and why they just hope for some sort of response.
I'm not a big protester. Today was a day that I had to say something.
Neil Chethek joined around 40 others at Congressman Andy Barr's office Tuesday morning. They were there for his scheduled office hours. Barr wasn't there, and they were discouraged to learn they'd only be seen by his aides and staff.
They were concerned about their Social Security. They were concerned about their Medicare.
Chethek says he's also concerned about his 93-year-old father's veterans benefits. As the AP reports, the Department of Veterans Affairs is planning to cut 80,000 jobs.
My father is now in an intake process that, as of the end of January, has stopped.
Barr's office said in a statement he holds office hours every month. While he wasn't personally in attendance Tuesday, Barr did post on social media that he can be seen on the Ruthless podcast, talking about Kentucky bourbon and the past 2 months in Washington. However, WKYT did ask Barr about potential impacts to programs like Medicaid when he toured the VA in Lexington with Secretary Doug Collins back in February.
We've authorized a review of the Medicaid program to make sure that Medicaid is a fairer program to prioritize care for the indigent, for the dual eligible elderly, and for the disabled.
Chethek says for now, they'll just keep showing up.
Would you like to see a town hall like we've seen in other states around the country?
I would like to see a town hall with the actual person in charge.
In Lexington, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
U.S. representatives narrowly passed a spending bill that would avert a government shutdown later this week. The measure would fund the government through September. U.S. Congressman Hal Rogers says he voted for it, saying there are no changes to Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare in the bill. Meanwhile, U.S. Congressman Thomas Massie voted no for the bill, giving his own reasons. The House voted against changes made to a bill addressing NTI days for Kentucky schools. An amendment approved in the Senate would have allowed for open, unrestricted growth of virtual programs or programs offered by public school districts that are an online alternative to traditional in-school programs. The original version of House Bill 241 already passed in the House. It now heads back to the Senate, where lawmakers will decide whether to remove the amendment. A bill that would keep cell phones out of Kentucky classrooms just passed the State House unanimously. House Bill 208 does not set a nationwide standard for technology in the classroom, but the bill would require local school boards to adopt policies that prohibit the use of telecommunication devices in the classroom. That bill now heads to the Senate. Kentucky lawmakers have advanced a bill they hope will stop anti-Semitism on college campuses. A committee took up U.S. Joint Resolution 55. The bill would direct Kentucky colleges and universities to adopt policies for combating anti-Semitism. It also calls on campuses to disband and report any student organizations that have provided resources to terrorist organizations. The joint resolution passed committee and now moves to the House floor for a full vote. In the final days of the legislative session, some bills are getting the attention of advocates of the LGBTQ community. Senate Bill 2 would prevent sex change operations for Kentucky inmates. Senate Bill 60 would allow citizens to sue the government if they believe their religious practices have been restricted. Senate Bill 132 would allow doctors to refuse care if it goes against their conscience. And House Bill 495 would seek to overturn Governor Beshear's 2024 executive order to ban conversion therapy.
These bills protecting rights of conscience, protecting religious freedom, those are universal protections that all Kentuckians benefit from when we have our First Amendment freedoms protected in state law.
Senate Bills 2, 60, and 132 have all passed through the Senate and are now waiting to be passed by a House committee. House Bill 495 passed through the House and it now waits to be passed by a Senate committee.